Hello everyone. I'm going to be doing a wire wrapped pumpkin pendant, and this is actually a redo from a video I did last year. I hope you enjoy it. The supplies you're going to need are 20 gauge round wire, 28 gauge round wire, you can also use 26 gauge wire, a measuring tape, a cabochon. I'm using this resin cabochon. You can also use semi-precious stone cabochons. A leaf I'm adding this time, so I'm using the resin leaf, but you can also add a charm leaf, flush cutters, chain nose pliers, nylon tipped flat nose pliers. You'll need something to make your bail, so I have a 6-step bail maker, and I also have a bail mandrel and my round nose pliers. To start, I'm going to be measuring the cabochon. Across, it's 1.5 inches. And it's 4.5 inches around. You'll need your measuring tape again, and since the cabochon was 4.5 inches, I'm going to round it off to 5 inches, and we're going to multiply that by 3. So we'll need 15 inches of the 20 gauge wire. After you cut the wire, you can put the measuring tape away. But first, I'm going to straighten this one out just a little bit. And I'm using the nylon tip flat nose pliers. And also you can use your fingers to straighten it out. I'm going to be using the first one that I cut, and I'm going to use that as a measuring device to cut 4 more pieces of the 20 gauge wire. You should have 5 pieces of 15-inch long 20 gauge wire. I'm using the 28 gauge wire, and I'm going to be cutting approximately 12 inches of the wire. Next, you'll need your measuring tape to measure half the length of your wire, and that would be 7.5 inches. Once you find the center of your wire, take the 28 gauge and wrap it around the center 10 times. When wrapping the 28 gauge wire around the center, make sure that the 5 pieces of 20 gauge wire are flat and they're not bunched together. You can use your chain nose pliers to flatten it out. You can also use them to push together your wraps so they're together firmly. Then continue wrapping. Use the chain nose pliers to flatten out the wire, and you can use your fingers to push the wire wrap together. Now that you have your 10 wraps, we need to secure it. So I'm going to take the first wire and pull it to the side and then start wrapping 3 times to 4 times around that wire. Cut it with your flush cutters, and with your chain nose pliers, secure the end. Now we have the other side to do, and we have to secure that piece of wire. So I'm pulling again the first wire to the side a little bit, and I'm wrapping it 3 to 4 times around that wire. And this just secures the 28 gauge. And cut it with your flush cutters and secure the end with your chain nose pliers. And then make sure everything from your wrap is pushed together. Now that you're done with the wrap and you've secured it, the secured part on that first wire, that will go towards the back of the cabochon. And here I'm just separating the wires a little bit. And I need the middle wire on each side, and that's going to go around the cabochon. It can be a little difficult playing around with all these wires because they do get a little tangled up. Now we're going to place the cabochon in the center of the wires. I'm just bringing the middle wires up a little bit. Now I'm placing the cabochon in the center, and I'm taking the 2 middle wires and I'm going to wrap it around the cabochon. It does move around a bit, and it's a little difficult sometimes to work with. But just take your time and you'll get it formed around the cabochon. I had to adjust the wire a little just to get the cabochon in place. Once you have the cabochon centered, wrap the wires around it, and then on one of the wires, bend it straight up, and that should be in the center. Place your cabochon back into your wires. And once you have that in there again, just wrap the other side around. It's the middle wire, and then find the point that hits the center and bend that wire straight up. And that will be the start of where your bail will be. You will be placing your cabochon into the wires several times just to make sure everything is centered. I'm just making sure that the wires are tight around the cabochon. Now that I know that the cabochon fits securely in those two wires, I'm going to bring the first wire up, just round it out a little bit. And then I'm bringing the second wire up, and that's right next to the third wire, and just rounding it up. And I'm doing the same with the back. Turn it over, do the first wire, just rounding it up a little bit. Same with the other side. And now the second wire. Now it almost looks like a little cage. Next, you're going to need your 28 gauge wire, and we're going to cut 12 inches of that. And we're going to have that ready for the next step. Now we're going to place the cabochon in the center of all the wires. Bring the two middle wires up around the edges. And I'm bringing up a couple of the back wires and just holding on to them. And now I'm bringing up the front wires. It takes a little time and a little patience to get all this together. So I have the two wires, that's the first wire I brought up, and I'm trying to center it and adjust it a little bit. And now I'm bringing that second wire up, trying to get it where I want it and to hold on to everything all at the same time. I'm adjusting it with my fingers. You can adjust it a little bit now, and then you can do some more adjustments afterwards. But right now I'm just doing some slight touches of an adjustment. I'm just kind of rounding the wire to make it look more like a pumpkin. And then on the back, I still have to get the second wire into my fingers, and then I'll make a couple adjustments here. Make sure you hold on to it tightly. Now that I feel that it's adjusted a little bit, it seems like I did a lot of adjusting, but it does take time. And of course, trying to get it to be centered. Now I'm going to take the 28 gauge wire and I'm going to do several wraps around the top of the cabochon. About roughly around 8 wraps. It's not going to be seen, but you want it secure. And then I'm going to secure the ends on the back, and I'm just going to place it through one of the wires on the back, and I'm going to do 3 wraps. Now I'm going to clip the end with the flush cutters and secure it with the chain nose pliers. And now we'll do the other end on the other side, and we'll do the same process where we'll wrap it around one wire 3 to 4 times just to secure it. And we'll use the flush cutters to clip off that end, and we'll secure it with the chain nose pliers. I'm making a few more adjustments just to get it to the way I want it to look. And this is the perfect time to do this. You can use your nylon tip pliers, but it's just easier to use your fingers to adjust. This is the time to get all your adjustments done before you make the bail. I'm pushing down on that wrap at the top of the cabochon to make sure it's all tight. Now with the chain nose pliers, I'm going to make the bail and just clasp it up towards the top and then just start twisting. You're only going to twist approximately a little less than halfway up. You can do a tight twist or a looser twist. I did the tighter. And then you'll need your 6-step bail maker or anything that you have to make the bail. And then I'm going up about 1/4 of an inch and then bending it over. Once it's bent over, I'm taking my chain nose pliers and bending it forward to the front. And with my bail maker, I'm just putting it back on and tightening it up. And making sure it's straight. Now I'm just making sure the bail is straight. And on the back, I'm bending those wires out. And then with my pliers, I am squeezing it together. You can also use your fingers to push it together. And I'm just going through the wires. I'm pulling a couple forward, and I'm also untangling them because they're a little messed up from doing the twist. I pull the two forward, and then this one I am going to wrap around the bail. And then that's going counterclockwise, and then the other wire I'm going clockwise. And one end is in the front and one end is in the back. And the end in the front, I'm going to clip it a little bit. And with my round nose pliers, I'm going to make a little loop. And on the back, I'm going to do the same. I'm going to clip it a little bit. And make a little loop. Now that the loops are done, I'm going to bring 5 of the wires forward. On the second wire, I am placing the leaf, and I'm bending it over the top towards the back, and then I'm going to secure it with a couple of wraps around the wire behind the leaf. It may be hard to make those wraps around the wire behind the leaf, but you can use your chain nose pliers to assist you with this. Now we'll be working on the vines, and I'm just adjusting the wires using your round nose pliers. Coil your wire around one side of the round nose pliers. Clip the end, and with your round nose pliers, just loop it at the end. This way it won't catch on anything, and there are no sharp edges to be poking you. And then just go on to the next wire and do the same. Wrap it around. It's a little easier if you have a mandrel for this. I showed you one in the supply list. All you do is wrap it down the mandrel and it's much easier. Clip the end and again make that little loop. Continue on with the next vine and just do the same procedure. Wrap it, clip the end, and then make the loop. Here I'm using the mandrel and I'm just wrapping it down the length of the bottom part. See how easy it is? And then I'm clipping the end and making the loop. And then just continue on wrapping those vines on the front and on the back. Now that you have all the vines made, we're going to need to secure the vines so that it does not catch on anything. And you'll need your 28 gauge wire, and I'm cutting 6 inches, and you'll need 6 inches for each wire that you're going to be connecting. So I'm just lifting up the wire with my finger just so I can make it easier to get the 28 gauge wire to wrap around it. And I'm holding the end with my fingers while I'm also holding on to the cabochon. And I'm just wrapping that 28 gauge wire around that wire that I lifted up a little bit. And I'm just making sure that the wraps are pushed together tightly. And now I'm going to wrap it over the vine, and then it'll go underneath the wire. And I'll do this 3 times to hold the vine in place. Once you get that 3rd wrap on the vine, now we're going to do 3 wraps on the wire, and that's to secure it. And then you're going to clip that end. And then you're going to clip the other end. Secure the 2 ends with your chain nose pliers. We're going to work on the next vine, and I'm going to lift the wire underneath it up a little bit with my nail. You can put these back in place when you're finished securing your vines. I'm going to cut another piece of my 28 gauge wire. And I'm going to begin by doing 3 wraps around the wire, and I'm holding the end with my fingers while I'm holding the piece. It's easier to work with a shorter length of wire. I cut this a little bit too long. For securing, I usually use about 6 inches. Make sure your wraps are pushed together firmly, and then we're going to wrap 3 times over the vine. Once the vine is secured, we will then do 3 wraps around the wire. Then clip the end, and then the end that you were holding, clip that also. And then secure it with your chain nose pliers. And you'll repeat this process to secure the rest of the vines on the front and on the back of your piece. Now that the vines are secured, I'm just checking it over, making sure everything is in its right place. And I pressed down all those wires. I also took out the back loop and I took the wire and placed it into the opening at the bottom of the bale. Now you can add a chain or a leather cord, and you're finished with your pumpkin pendant. So I hope you enjoyed my video. If you did, please give me a thumbs up, subscribe to my channel, and press that bell for notifications of my upcoming videos. Also, in the description box below, you will find links to my artwork, photography, and my jewelry. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you soon. Bye-bye.